Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about my positive birth induction story. The reason why I wanted to share this story is because there's so many negative stories on the internet, and I wanted to just share that it doesn't have to be negative, it doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be anxiety producing. And I'm just thankful for my story and that I get to share it with others and to just bring light to birth. So towards the end of my pregnancy, I started experiencing high blood pressure, and to be on the safe side, they wanted for me to be induced. And so essentially for me, I did not want that going into it. I wanted the least amount of medical interventions as possible. I wanted to go into labor naturally, and that just unfortunately was not the case for me. This was my first pregnancy, and so things like that tend to happen. And so I went in on my 40-week appointment, which was on a Tuesday, and they did a membrane sweep and to see how far along that I was dilated. And so unfortunately, at 40 weeks pregnant, I was 1 centimeter dilated. And so they went ahead with the membrane sweep and said, if nothing happens, we will see you Thursday at noon. And I was also doing everything under the sun to help induce labor, bouncing on the ball, eating dates, red raspberry leaf tea, you name it. And so Thursday rolls around, we get there, we actually get there 20 minutes late. So we get checked in, we get in our room, and so essentially by the time everything happens, it was around 1:30, 2 o'clock, and they checked me again and they realized that I was still at 1 centimeters. So I was super duper bummed, and that's when they inserted the Foley balloon, and I also started on Cytotec. And so essentially what a Foley balloon is this thing that they put inside you. And I did this unmedicated, which was honestly one of the worst experiences of the whole birth story, but I got that inserted. And so essentially what a Foley balloon is that they put saline solution into this little balloon, and it increases, and then by the time you are 3 centimeters dilated, it falls out on its own. And they have this long little string, and they tape it to the inside of your leg. And it was honestly extremely uncomfortable no matter what position I was in. It was extremely uncomfortable. So for the next couple hours, I just couldn't find a position to sit comfortably, lay comfortably. And so during that time, they also started me on Cytotec, and you take 1 pill every 4 hours, and literally thought that I would go in there and start on Pitocin right away. That is not how it's done. And the reason why they don't start you on Pitocin right away is because it can just create too much pressure for your cervix and cause a C-section. And so clearly I did not want that. They did Cytotec, which kind of loosens the cervix in a way. And so I was doing both of those things. And so during that time, I was just kind of waiting around. I kind of did get like cramps, period-like cramps throughout that time, and no like true contractions. Around 10 o'clock rolls around. So I was there, roughly 10 hours. And I go to the bathroom and I look down and I see that the Foley balloon is literally like leaking blood. I know this is really like TMI, but it's leaking blood. So the cap fell off on the end of the Foley balloon. And then after that, I felt the strangest sensation of my life, and the Foley balloon fell out. So we got the nurse, they removed that, and I literally felt the greatest relief ever. The Foley balloon just made everything uncomfortable, and so I felt immediate relief from that. So after that, they wanted to start Pitocin right away, and so I kind of asked for them if me and my husband can discuss like what's next. And so I just look at him and I'm like, I'm tired. We have who knows of how long of a night ahead. Let's see if we can kind of push it back an hour and just sleep and rest. And so we brought the nurse back in and we told her, hey, you know, we just want to rest for an hour until we start Pitocin. Can we do that? And they're like, sure. So we got an hour of sleep between that. And that is one of the best decisions we made because we had a long night ahead of us, and that gave me a little boost of energy for the long night ahead. And so after that 1 hour, we started on Pitocin, and at first it truly wasn't that bad. I'm like, easy money, whatever. And it did like slowly but surely like hit me like bricks. And so during that time, I just really tried to float each contraction. And so I just felt like I was floating in the ocean and just these splashes of waves. And I just tried to ride that wave each time. And I would kind of like moo like a cow really deep for each contraction and just kind of make as much noise as possible. And that really did seem to help, since I wasn't able to get in the birthing tub, which honestly I was really disappointed, because when we walked into the room, I'm like, where's the tub? They wouldn't let me because of my high blood pressure. And when I mean high blood pressure, like I was right on that cusp of like dangerous and normal, or that threshold, I should say. That's where I was at. So I didn't really truly have the highest blood pressure, just, you know, a little concerning. And so I was really bummed that I couldn't use the birthing pool. What I did instead was I would get in the shower, and that did give relief. It's just inside a medical hospital bathroom, it just was not comfortable because I just couldn't find a good position to get in. Although the hot water did feel really good, I was just trembling at each contraction because at this point they were really coming in fast. So I just couldn't handle sitting upright. I just really wanted to like lay down. I labored for roughly over 6 hours on Pitocin, and I look at my husband, I'm like, I'm just getting exhausted. I've had an hour sleep this entire night. And so at 6:45 in the morning, I threw in the towel. I was like, give me that epidural, please. And I really wanted to, like I said earlier, I really wanted the least amount of medical interventions as possible. But at this point, I was almost up for essentially 24 hours. And I wanted enough energy for the most important part. And so that's when I said, I want the epidural. And to be honest, I was kind of disappointed in myself, you know, thinking, oh, like, I didn't make it. I didn't, you know, survive the Pitocin contractions, but I made it to 7 centimeters. So after they checked me and that they said that I was 7 centimeters, I was honestly kind of relieved, knowing that I made it that far. But at the same time, you know, I was just wrestling with, you know, this could last another hour or 4, 6, 12 hours. And so I just wanted to make sure that I had enough energy for the biggest part, which is pushing. And so around 6:45, I ended up getting the epidural. And quite honestly, I was just so nervous because I've just heard so many scary stories of that. And so it was such a relief knowing that the epidural worked and that went well, because I was absolutely terrified of the epidural. And so once when I got some relief, things were just so great after that. After I got the epidural, I literally slept for 4 hours, and it was absolutely glorious. And I woke up around 10 o'clock. My parents came. The nurses come in and they tell me, hey, once when you feel the need to poop, please let us know. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a weird, you know, way to describe it. But okay, yeah, sure, whatever. At this point, you know, my parents come and then they come in to greet me, whatever, and then they go downstairs, they grab coffee, and then my husband, he goes and makes a call. And so my nurses come in and they check me and I'm about 9 centimeters dilated, and then they break my water. They literally bring out this crochet hook looking thing and break my water. And with the epidural, it was so strange because I didn't feel anything, but I felt warm water, you know, gushing. And so mine wasn't, you know, like a just come out, it was like a fire hose. And so my husband was really salty that he missed that. After my water broke, it was really quick after that. I started to feel that feeling that I needed to poop. So mind you, no one's in the room, it's just me. And I'm like, hello. So I like call my nurse in and I told her what was up. And so literally they were like, it is go time. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like no one's here. And so I hurry up, try to get my husband comes back, cause he made a phone call, then he went and grabbed water for us, and he comes back and he tells my parents like, come on, she's getting ready to push. So now it is time for the main event, which is pushing. And so they kept like pushing my knees back. And so I try to push as hard as I can with also trying to not tear, because that was also one of my fears. And so thankfully I pushed for about 30 minutes and baby girl was here about, you know, 30 minutes later. And so I'm so grateful because I didn't tear and I only had to push for 30 minutes. And quite honestly, the biggest thing that I had a hard time with after the birth was that my knee hurt so bad. I've had 2 knee surgeries in the past, and so that was the hardest part of recovery overall, was the fact that my knee hurt. Baby girl was here, born on March 7th. Her name is Aria. She's currently sleeping. I haven't even like said her name on the channel yet. I just say like baby girl and whatnot, but her name is Aria. And she was born 22 hours after I was induced. And so I feel like overall for a first birth, 22 hours isn't that bad, because I've heard stories of 72 hours, 48 hours, multiple days. Like, I am so grateful for that. So the other thing too is that since I was under an epidural, my midwife stitched me up just a little bit, because even though I didn't really tear, I still had minor tears. And so she's like, well, why not, since you have an epidural? And so yeah. But anyways, that is it for today's video. I really hope you leave encouraged, knowing that you can have an epidural, can be induced, and still have a positive birth story. And at the end of the day, even though no matter what happens, at the end of the day, you still get this precious bundle of joy. And I am so thankful and grateful for how my birth turned out, even though it did not turn out the way that I wanted to in my brain. And so essentially letting go of that control in that area, I feel like really helped me throughout the process, that this is out of my hands, and no matter what, I still get my precious baby girl at the end of it all. And I'm so grateful. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everybody.